What's up, guys? Welcome, everybody, to Lace Up Podcast, episode 7. We got a special guest tonight. Lace Up, I'll lay down. And our friend Matty Tottenham, you guys might know him from the W number. He's here, and we've been waiting to hear his story or whatnot. And, Matty has given me an opportunity, to share my story. So I wanted to, reciprocate and return the favor and whatnot. And, it's something that, I think people need to hear. People, should pay attention and whatnot. And you can get a lot from it. Like I said, Lace Up Podcast, where we focus on, real gangster recovery, perseverance, and, basically, coming back, falling but getting back up. And that's what we're all about here. No victimization. I got my co-host here.
What's up, guys? Devin here. Let's go. Matty, happy to have you, bro. Thanks for coming. W number. Where can tell the people where you can find that at if they don't already know.
So you can find the W number podcast on YouTube, or you can find it on TikTok or Instagram. I'm on Scoops. Pretty much, you can find a little piece of me everywhere. You know what I mean? But. Check it out. I think like what I really got into it for, like the main reason why I started doing all this was, number one, to let people know that, people in my shoes and people in your shoes or your shoes could, believe in Jesus and not have that like weird stigma against you, bro. Because I'm still a thorough dude, bro. I've done 17 years in prison. Everybody knows me. Everybody knows what I'm about. And it is what it is, bro. But it's not like I have to justify believing in Jesus or anything like that. I believe in Jesus, and I think that others could benefit a lot from it as well. So I thought, you know what? I'll let people know it's not that serious, bro. You could still be a dog, and you could still believe in Jesus, and probably be even more of a dog with me, because you can't go wrong with someone like that on your back, bro.
100%.
And so I did 17 years. I got out. I had nothing in mind. I did not have a podcast in mind. I didn't have nothing. I figured maybe I'll end up selling drugs or using them again. But I don't know what happened, man. I went back to prison. I actually just made a video about it. Put it out yesterday, or today, actually. Today, at noon it premiered. And, it's just the way I changed, man. I ran into hell my whole life, and I found God there, and that's it. So I put that video out today, man. I hope that somebody can get something from my story. You know what I mean?
Well, I absolutely, I know they will, and I believe it's the people that, they say pain is inevitable and suffering is optional, and guys like us, they to feel that pain or whatnot, and then, still have that faith, still have that, something to be said about stubbornness too, or pride. I try to separate the ego and the pride, and I know that they are different. The ego get me in trouble, but I like to believe that there's good pride, and pride, when you can believe in something enough, and ultimately, I feel like, to believe in myself, I had to believe in a power greater than myself, like they talk about. And, what you just said there resonated so much with me. And I joke, but I'm serious too when I say it. It's like, you think you're gangster, you think you're, all these terms that we use and whatnot. It's like, and I'll joke, I'll say I'm so gangster, I'll make sobriety cool. You know what I mean? So it's like right there, this kid just told me, Matty told me, like, I know, I relate to that, and it's like, you don't have to explain to no one, it works for you. And for so long, it's not a coincidence that like the trajectory of your life and like your thinking started changing when you basically surrendered and like gave it up to, to something greater than yourself,
It didn't take a slight left. It took a 180. Like I was going directly down a hole into the fucking depths of hell. And something happened, bro. And I'm here. Now I'm free. I was moved, I seen all these people. I got out. They made me go to a halfway house. Even though I really had, like, I relapsed. I'm going to say only used, right? You don't only use crack, right? Crack is a bad drug, okay?
There's no recreational crack.
Yeah, you don't just sit around, you're like, hey, Mom, you think I'll go out smoke crack this weekend? She can be like, what? Like, crack is bad. Crack is
Crack is
it'll
whack.
fucking ruin your life.
Word.
Along with every other hard drug like that. And I just seen all these people and like they're coming off the streets, Mass Ave's right there, like literally in your backyard. So it just opened my eyes and I'm like, you know what, man, so many people need help. Everybody goes to NAA meetings seeking their truth, right? Like looking for other people's stories that they can relate and learn from. Because I saw something written on a prison wall and it said, and it was in a video, right? And it said, no man is your enemy, no man is your friend, and every man is your teacher. And I just thought, like, that's just solid as hell right there. Like, you can't go, it's a fact. No man's your friend, no man's your enemy, every man's your teacher. And as long as you think like that and kind of put God in front of you and focus on just maybe helping the people around you or the ones that need it, and you stop focusing so much on all the things that's wrong with you and all the things that you can't do or all your failures and shortcomings, and you start thinking about how you can help others get through their failures and their like shortcomings with your story and the things that you've been through so they don't have to go through the same things that you've been through. And mainly it's for younger generations, be honest, because everybody,
Absolutely.
like, if you're not already in recovery at this age, you're on Mass Ave, you know what I mean? Or you're dead or in prison. And so if we made it to this age and we're able to look back and be like, you know what, something's not right with this whole picture, like we need a change, or it's either that or the rest of my life is this here. You know what I mean? I don't want to live the rest of my life like I've already lived it, bro, because it's just been so fucking hard, bro. You know what I mean? So hard. So it's like, I don't need that. There's something else now. You know what I mean? Something else.
Yeah, and it shows in your work. It shows in, you know, I talk about the attraction, you know, me and Devin talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, and the reason, you know, I always say, like, you know, I love Devin, you know, because, you know, and I say that, like, I love this kid because he's, you know, I call him an old soul, but there's something about him, right? And like, you know, we need to be reminded as human beings. I feel like, you know, we need a little reassurance, you know, maybe not like all the validation we may seek, you know, but certainly a little reassurance, you know, because every day is not going to be, you know, we're going to have off days and stuff like that. And, you know, but we lift each other up. And like I say, like, you know, the potential and, you know, he's a listener, right? And he learns from, you know, and no one's perfect by any means, but at the same time, like, you know, we can all learn from each other, like you said, right? Doesn't matter that he's younger, right? You know, and it's like, it's nice to be able to, like, you know, you think about it, right? If you put us in, you know, put us together out there on the street in the past, right? Yeah, we'd probably, you know, have some, we could probably share some stories, have some memories of wild times. And like, at the end of the day though, it would be, you know, it would be a recipe for disaster, you know? And, you know, and it's not sustainable, you know, but to put our minds together and like, you know, like-minded where it's like, listen, I've suffered, you suffered, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know,
it's a common bond.
Let's tell each other the truth, right? Because, and I always say there's something to be said about the truth, right? And it may be foreign to us and like, you know, it doesn't just roll off my tongue that easily, you know, and I know that's a defense mechanism and trauma bond, you know, trauma and all that stuff. But, you know, at least we can acknowledge it and be like, all right, you know, the attraction that you possess, you know, when you share your story, because like your heart's pure. Like I say, like, you know, at the end of the day, you know, sometimes I can get, you know, a little, I can feel like, all right, well, my intentions were pure, you know, but really were they? My intentions couldn't be pure because my thinking was so you know, it was so consumed with self and like, you know, and now I like say a little prayer today, like remove my fear and self-centeredness and the crippling anxiety that blocks me from you, you know, and, you know, they say, I heard a saying and I love it, you know, I think a lot of guys with tattoos love their sayings. And it said religion is for people that are scared to go to hell, and spirituality is for people that have been there. You know, that shit hit, you know?
Yeah. Word, bro. That shit's dope. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, it's dope. And, yeah, thank you for that, Joe.
Of course, buddy. I love you.
Love you too. Love you too. I appreciate
Oh.
But, no, Matt, I like what you said, bro, about, you know, at some point you just got to the point where you're like, you know what, man, this ain't it anymore. And, like, turn your life over to God, man. I think at the end of the day, whether you do AA, don't do those things. Like, God is the common denominator with all those, because it's like, what'd you say? No
man's your friend, no man's your enemy, every man's your teacher.
Yeah, and I love that, bro, because it's like, it's like, yo, if you look back on every situation or every person that's come into your life, it's like it served a purpose. There was a reason for it. You know what I mean? This person was either, whether you fought him, whether you hated him, whether you loved him, whether you're still cool with them or not, like whatever the situation is, it's
whether
like,
they're 2 or 50.
Yeah,
say a lesson or a blessing.
100%, a lesson or a blessing. God's either blocking you or blessing you. You know what I mean? You gotta take the hints and.
God never blocks you. We block ourselves.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that saying when people say, like, you know, you hear it and I don't blame people. I don't say, you know, it's who am I to judge where people like you know, human beings can only take so much pain, you know, and that I'll take physical all day, you know.
Hell yeah.
You know, I'll take a beating all day. You know, that's why it's like,
worse.
you know, what scares me is like the mental and emotional, and that I can do. I don't need any help with, and but yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah. So what was a point for you? What was like a turning point for you where you were like, fucking dude, I don't want to do this anymore, and I'm gonna try this halfway house out, and I'm gonna fucking, you know, try going to meetings and start up a podcast. What was the was there like a specific painful situation? You know, you want to get into that? Yeah.
So like the turning point for me, and like I said, like no bullshit, it's literally the video that I put out. I put out a video. It's my turning point. This is the most important story in my life, and it's the only story that actually matters because every other story is just another story that led me down the same road, bro. And this is the only story that changed the path I was on and the direction my life was going in.
That's why we wanted you here today, because that's the message we're trying to convey, you know, to people out there that, you know, listen, we all love our stories and stuff like that, you know, and you know that, but there's a time and a place for those things, you know.
But it hasn't always. It's never been this, like where we sit around and talk about how we can help each other and help others and shit. It's always been about who can I rob and
get something.
How can I get? What are we doing tonight? Like, let's go out and do something, bro. I'm sick of sitting in the house. I don't want to be here. Fuck that. Let's go find some bitches. Let's go get something to drink. And everybody's always seeking comfort and not progress or growth. And growth comes from being uncomfortable, bro. Yep. You can't be comfortable and grow. You're going to be comfortable and stay comfortable or get uncomfortable and then grow after. Because you can't be comfortable and grow. I mean, you can technically, but it's some type of discomfort's making you grow and want to change.
100%. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I just ruined your whole studio.
That's all good, bro. It wasn't meant to be.
Yeah. So
God wanted that shit.
So what happened was I spent my whole life in prison, bro. It's my whole life not my whole life since I was not a baby in prison, but like if you want to call the crib prison, maybe. Yeah. But like I was 13, I went to DYS, and then from there on it's just been the same fucking thing until I was 36 years old. And when I was 36, I was getting out of prison. I got out of prison actually when I was 30. I believe when I was 36 or 37. I forget now. It's been crazy. But around that time, and for that whole 17 years I spent in prison, I did the same thing. I chased drugs. I got in any fight I could possibly get in that would improve my reputation or make others fear me or respect me more than they did.
It's a tough way to live. Yeah.
It was all at one end game result, right? Money and drugs. Your fear equals my money and my drugs because you're going to give me what I want when I need it. That's why I want you to be afraid. I don't care about anything else. Like your fear doesn't make me feel all cozy inside. It makes me high because you don't want to say no to me or you don't want to, you get something, you're just going to give it to me because you're just like, all right, let me get this headache out of the way first. Like, that's not how I want to be noticed by anybody. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's like, oh, shit.
Well, I can tell, and that's how the way you carry yourself, even when I first met you, and I feel like that's one of the best perks of prison that I feel like that in my experience, and I think you may agree, is that the judge of character. You know, when you know, we're not 100%, but like, you know, I'll shoot for 99. I think pretty spot on when it comes to people, and you know, I think I tend to believe I'd like to have, you know, I do trust a little too much or whatnot, but at the end of the day, in the past, I used to say, oh, no more Mr. Nice Guy, and like what I realized, and as I grew up, I was like, you know what, no matter what, like I'm not gonna change for no one, like, you know what I mean? It's like if someone wants to, you know, at the end of the day, like I know what I bring to the table, and like and I can actually say that now with confidence, as opposed to in the past where I would have I would have liked you to believe that, and like I needed to believe it,
Yeah.
and I was basically selling a dream, It sounds good, but like, at the end of the day, like we'll go the whole together, I'm not gonna tell on you this and that, like what's that get for any of us, like and when it comes down to it, like that's all it may count for something in there, whatnot, and it's more or less like a survival tactic, and but at the end of the day, like it's more purposeful, and like to be able to come out here and like do something with that, like with your mentality, with your mindset, the way you carry yourself, and to see you flourish and like your heart, like right away, I knew I'm like this, that doesn't feed us anymore. Like they say, the two wolves, you know what I mean? Like that the old Indian like story, and now today we try to feed, like, I think the good one,
Yeah. In even to go further, like into your question, because like I don't want to dodge your question. Got a little off track just because that's just all part of it, bro. Like it's all part of the mindset. Like you go in there and you're not going in there and you're like, the first thing you think of is, I want to get a prison bitch that's gonna bring me drugs and money and send me money.
Queen.
Yeah, I need a canteen queen and the first thing I need is a care package, bro. Like my sweatpants. I went in there this time, dude, and I laid on my bed and slept for 3 weeks. And I didn't call my girl. I didn't call home. I didn't ask anybody for anything. I got coffee when someone felt bad enough because my hair was all fucked up or something. They're like, yeah, you might need a cup of coffee. But like that's how bad I was. Like, fuck my life, bro. I just so done, bro. So fucking done. And they pulled me off a street for seeking help. I went to the hospital for a dirty urine because I knew I was going to be dirty. I wasn't even getting urines from probation at that point, though. And so I went to the hospital after I got high, and I told them, like, look, I need a detox or something. And when I went there, they called my probation officer called there, and they told him, I got it dirty. So, boom, the cops came and picked me up right out of the hospital. And brought me to jail, and that was my wake up, and I was just like, dude, can't do this forever, bro. I can't even do this ever anymore.
Well, that's because I say because you're a human being, right? You're not a sociopath. You're not a psychopath. I know that you ran with them. I know that you've been surrounded by them. I know that you've have spent many years with people like that, and like maybe picked up some of their tendencies, or like had to we're creatures of habit, but we're also like can be chameleons and stuff like that. And like that can be a good thing. It's a blessing and a curse, Yeah. In there, it's probably more of a curse, you will survive and whatnot, but at the end of the day, like it's like that's not who you are, and like the mental health like aspect that I know that you touch on a lot. Yeah. And it makes me cringe, even I could feel like when you said you went in there, I saw something on online on social media the other day, and it was a kid. It was like in Utah, right? And like, what do we have nothing in common with this person, but like the person said something. He was a kid. He had all tattoos, gang tattoos and shit like that. And he was like well-spoken. He was up for parole. And whatever happened, they sent him back for maybe a dirty urine, whatever the case was. They sent him back for like 90 days. The kid didn't come home for like years later. Mm-hmm. And what he was saying is, I'd like you guys to understand that like I'm not the person you see, like, like the kid has, like I think King Ace spoke about like the soul, and how these are our skins, but like
that's
inside.
What I was supposed to say after you were done talking.
Yeah, no, I want to hear this, and the kid basically what he said, I was like 1000%. That's the scary part, is like when you go in for that violation of 60, 90 days, I understand, man. I played cops and robbers growing up. I lost, like, I didn't go to prison and been like, I hate cops, this and that. It's like, no, like I played my role, you know what I mean? Like, but there's good and bad in everything, even in our line of work. But
no, of course. Yeah, but the chameleon thing. It's like it's like
sometimes you have to.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, especially
for your own self.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for you gotta. At the end of the day, you gotta have yourself no matter what. And like I don't know. I think the one thing that, I growing up getting high, like. We could, I could fit in with any crowd, man, whether it was sports or fucking drug dealers, drug addicts, whatever it was, right? But someone always told me, dude, don't go to jail. Prison's not a huge part of my story, but skid bids and Barica. I was told, don't go in there and try to be somebody you're not, dude. Because honestly, like my first halfway house, I saw this kid, and I'll never forget it. Like he was on that rah-rah, C-dub shit, skinny little white kid, and like, whatever, dude, it don't matter.
Yeah.
Like, but he thought that impressed people.
You're in a halfway house,
And this
fucking
kid
donkey.
got the brick, dude, this kid got the...
Humble yourself.
Got the fucking brakes beat off him by this kid from Worcester, dude. I've never seen nothing like it, dude. This kid was like, bro. And
One of those
he was
ones
like,
where you're like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, I was cringing for the kid.
Yeah, right,
Buddy,
right.
Like, you don't have to do that. But, you know, what I was getting at was, you don't, in there, out here, whatever, it doesn't matter. You don't, at least not now. We don't have to be something we're not, someone we're not.
Fact.
You know what I mean? God wants us to be who we're meant to be.
Absolutely, bro. I went in there thinking like, you know, with the first time I even went in there, I've never had this, I've never felt like I was looking at other people as role models or idols, like something to be, you know what I mean? Like when I went in there, like, oh, like tough guys, like, we'll see what they're doing. Like, I've always just had like this weird, like, I do what I do, and like I fuck with the code. I listen to the code. I follow the rules of the block. I abide by the laws of prison and in the con code and shit. But like I do what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's always
and you
been
do
in
what I
the-
do
yeah.
if you want, but I'm not doing what you're doing because I don't even like you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I just thought everybody should. Like, it takes away from the uniqueness, bro. It's like cookie cutouts in there sometimes. Like, I feel like everybody's just the same fucking person. Even though you know they're not, you know what I mean? They just act the same, bro. Because it's like, that's what fits in. That's what everybody is. So you want to, like, it's like you're a part of a pack and you're just, you know, you're fitting in to get... You're getting into fitting. It's just like, I don't know, man. It's just...
No, I completely understand it.
It almost happens organically.
And the thing is, and that's the difference between in there and out here. It's like there's no growth. Like I hate when I hear people say, like, you'll hear it, especially at a meeting or something. It's like, I grew up in prison. It's like, stop it, bro. Stop it, right? Right, like, please, like, you're embarrassing yourself. And, I'm embarrassed for you.
It's usually the guy that's done the least amount.
And there's no growth because there's no growth. And I think that Matty can say that where, did I learn things or whatever? Sure, but the things I learned the most really like were probably maybe an OG or something like take me under their wing that was a good dude and like. Saw something in me or whatnot, it wasn't like a predator or trying to like, get over. And they said, kid, like, they told me something that would apply to the street, right? Yeah. Because no guy, there's no one I met, like in the guys that I was around and whatnot, there was no glorification. There was no, if you met them to this day, it wouldn't come up in conversation and whatnot. Yeah. And, it's nice to be able to even sit down and talk like this because I feel like it's always been in us, but like now we have an opportunity, or at least like we've seen, we're able to like speak on it. We're able to have a voice, and like that's what gets me like going today, and it's like, and the consequences of like getting excited about that or getting amped up for that is it's far less than anything I've done in the past.
I want to ask you too, like, because I know for myself, right, like. This has happened to me, whether it's from being in a halfway house or being in jail, like the institutionalized mentality, right? Like fucking, whether it be like, I like how you always say like, and it's the truth too. Like this is absolutely the truth. Like if you're not a rat or a skinner, you can come back from anything.
Yeah, as a guy, as a man, I believe that.
As a man, like 100%. But like the institutionalized thing, like I don't know, like the mentality and certain things. Like there's certain things that. You can't just change overnight, right? But,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
But, like having the ramen soups and the tunas and the fucking shit organized, like just a certain way. It's like, I don't know. It's all of it, dude. It's hard to fucking change that. Playing spades, playing whist, all that shit.
Let me say this, right? It's not about the ramen noodles or even the cards. None of that, right? What's institutionalized is all the things you don't even realize are happening as you go, all the little changes and the things that you're doing automatically, all the automatic things, and those are the things that carry over into the streets. I don't come home and smash up ramen noodles on the floor and chop up some meat, some beef, summer sauce.
Dude, people, it's
that's
funny.
not the institutionalization. For me, the institutionalization is like if I see you keep on looking at me and I'm like, like, is there a threat here? Like, no, we're in Stop and Shop. You know what I mean? Like, that's an old
Someone's sitting behind you.
Hey, Matty's like, this dude is following me. They're like, it's the robot that follows you around.
What the fuck you looking at, bro?
Hey, fucking, get some fucking assault battery on the robot.
Yeah, just steal my package, bro.
I ain't taking a short.
Sue's always clogging me, bro. Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like, you don't realize how institutionalized like Asian really is until you start dealing with these things after you get out. And like for me, it's a lot of like trauma-based shit. Like, but also there's some positives in there too. Like for being in the segregation for so long, like I spent 10 years in solitary confinement over the course of my 17 years. And it was always the longest I ever did in a solid stretch was 2 years. Wow. But 2 years, get out for a month. 2 more years, get out 18 more months, then year.
Yeah, when people I say, I said it last week or whatever, but no, take it how you want or whatever. If you're offended, you probably should be, but it's like if you're in jail right now with a tablet or whatever, chances are you're probably not doing a bit or you just it is what it is. Like, hey, fucking God bless you. You know what I mean? Like,
it's doing a better bit.
But absolutely. You know what I mean? Like,
we had so many walk-ins.
That's great. But I know that you. I relate to your suffering, like, because how couldn't you? You know what I mean? People say, I got to stand on my head, like.
Yeah, I do my big sitting on the toilet.
Sounds good. Like, this brings me to a good segue because, and I want you to ask the question you had asked about earlier, and you were curious about Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah, what was it like being up with?
I always say like that. You've heard me say it before. In Judge a Character, when I saw him on that TV, and I looked, and my first impression, right, and I was wrong. I believe I was wrong. I said, this dude's, wow, you got a great poker face. And as the trial went on, a few days more, and they zeroed in on his eyes, and I'm like, there's nothing there. That, like, I was wrong. Like, when those doors cracked, like, he wasn't feeling what we would feel. Yeah. I believe that, you know what I mean? At that point, like, he was, but you know better than me,
Yeah, of course. So when I watched the first, how they did the first, like, little split series on Netflix, the documentaries, and then they did.
I never got to watch any of that.
Yeah. So
I will. I'm gonna check it out now.
But that's the thing is, you watch that, and then it's like you hear about dudes that were really locked up with him, you were, and it's like,
I'm intrigued.
I'm gonna fucking I'm intrigued by it. And it's like, dude, I was intrigued from the get go. I never forgot, like, he was a fucking freak athlete, dude, stud on the football field, like star, bro. He could have really been better than Gronk, and it's sad, man, what happened, because, like, kind of like Joe said, dude, I saw that, and I was like, especially, like, learning more about it, dude, I'm like, bro, he's just another one of us, man.
Well, I think, like, the CTE,
addiction,
and then molestation as a child, which fucks people up.
Yeah.
And he smoked PCP, right? And
I would say he should have been from Charlestown. He liked dust.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think there's several different reasons why.
Yeah, give us your
I'm gonna keep on saying double A's. That's the only thing I've ever really called him. Even when he was playing football, like, I knew him as Hernandez. I never really, like, I was like, oh, that's Aaron Hernandez. Like, that's my favorite player. I never really, like, got into like that. Like, he was a football player. He was a tight end. I knew he was one of the best in the country. And when I seen him getting arrested, I'm like, oh, he's about to get off. He's going to pay his lawyer. He's going to beat this case. He's going to go play football again. They're going to be like, rich guys, whatever.
He did the perp walk too. When he walked out, bro, he had that shit, right?
Yo, with the music, they got a couple
with the shirt over his handcuffs and shit. Yeah, because he had that mentality long before he was ever in football. He had the mentality. But you know what happened, I think, and it happens with all of us, I think, is we get some money, we start feeling ourselves, and you think you're untouchable.
Talk about living a double life, bro.
Yeah, and you feel like you could pretty much do it. You get away with a couple of them. Like he might have allegedly got away with those, even if you don't actually body the person, they just shoot them and you still get away, right?
Yeah.
You escape. You're like, I could get away with it. I got away.
Yeah.
You could get away with it. You can do whatever you want, right?
I've said that for years about, like, you think of Son of Sam and stuff like that. And it's like, for what it's worth, they say most, like, serial killers or killer, like, they they almost have the subconscious where they want to get caught. You know what I mean? Eventually.
Yeah.
And he got caught from a parking ticket or whatever. But he used to hear like the dog would speak to him and shit like that. And all he'd do is walk up and like shoot people, like a couple like making out in a car or something in New York. He did it the Summer of Sam.
Yeah.
He was David Berkowitz. And he walked up and I'm like, dude, as long as you don't tell no one, like you walk up, like shoot someone and never say another word, like, you know.
Randomness is what gets
obviously
you
that's crazy, but yeah.
Of course.
So I'm sorry, go ahead with Hernandez, yeah.
So I just thought, you know, this dude's gonna walk. He's rich. He's a football player. There's no fucking way he's getting a murder rap and going to prison for life. Like, but you know, those lives do cross over, and he was in that type, like, you know, that life. Like, he was around our class of people. He wasn't like a rich kid growing up. And a lot of football players were, and you know, in the locker room, you know, they're probably all in there telling war stories about the life they lived and shit. Like, now they have money and won't ever do it again, right?
Was he a blood or a king?
He was a blood.
Yeah,
you know, he was a blood. And I don't think
And he kept them around, like there's people around him.
Double life, yeah.
Well,
you know?
he was a very solitary person, bro. He played basketball in the yard alone. When he came out for rec, he was pretty much just, you know, he would go on the phone or come over to my cell where me and my boy were, because my cellie was like his best friend in the whole camp. And like, so like him, they were like, you know what I mean, clicked out. Like they hung out all the time, and so he would come over, come kicking at the door, and I just, you know, I got a glimpse. Like, he was, what you say about the eyes, for instance, right? Like, you talk to him, there's not really much emotion going on behind that, you know? And that's when I realized, like, this dude really is kind of like a psychopath.
Yeah.
I told my friend, like, yo, you don't see,
He's
like,
able to disassociate.
he is disassociated. That's the difference. And I know
We don't have
because
that ability.
honestly, I started, like, for a long time, and I still think that I kind of do have some symptoms of CTE, and I've had the trauma to go along with it. Like, I've had many headbangs, car accidents, fights, you know, weapons to the head. And I think that I might have CTE. I kind of was like looking at him thinking, I see some of the things that are going on with me and him, like the way, like, you can't, like, you look and you're just kind of like looking through somebody and you're not really seeing them, but you're just seeing through them and just hearing, like, it's kind of like that feeling, like you feel dissociated, literally, the word fits. And I could see it with him. He didn't, and I don't know if it was because he was in prison and he was just so fucking shocked that he really did get bagged and he wasn't untouchable and wasn't invincible. And now he's here with all of us. And this is the end of the rope, bro. Reality's kicking in. And
Yeah, no, that's unfathomable for me.
Talk about feeling fucking shattered and broken internally, bro. Like, and you know what, too? Like, I don't know, you could probably speak on this too, like, but, you know, sociopath, psychopath or not, like, whatever, I'm sure, you know, obviously he liked the dust, and he was probably, what was he smoking, deuce up there?
He liked his
like,
drugs.
when you're numbed up, I think all of us can say that, like, when you're all fucked up on a run or you're all fucking high and shit, like, it's easy to not show emotion. You know, it's easy to just fucking,
Well, I think
something crazy happens, you're just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
think
whatever.
from, you know, I'm no Dr. Phil, but I mean, I think that he had some deep trauma and some skeletons in his closet and some, you know, yeah, I think that he had some serious underlying issues, you know, and some deep dark secrets that just ate him up. You know?
I don't think he was gay at all. I'm going to say that right now.
Yeah, that was...
First of all, you don't know your text messages are ever going to get read. Why aren't you talking sexual to your allegedly sexual partner, right? Why? I mean, unless you're worried about him screenshot and maybe sharing it something, maybe I could see that right there, but I don't see what they're talking about with that. I just don't. And, you know, some people were kind of putting 2 and 3 together rather than 2. It's like not making sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, the math wasn't adding up. And then they say went over there to the south side, and then all of a sudden he's different now. Like, I was with him for almost maybe 18 months before he was down there, and I don't think, like, he never showed any signs whatsoever of being, like, flamboyant in any type of way, or even on the low with it. You know what I mean? So I don't believe that for a split second, not for nothing. I think he was a very dangerous person, physically, mentally, all that. He had, like, that serial killer, like, look about him. You know what I mean? And that feel, like, you could tell, like, he could put your lights out, probably not give a fuck about it.
Yeah.
You know what
Where
I
were
mean?
you guys at, the Max?
Yeah, we were in the Max. I was in P1 with him. I was in M1 with him, and he was in N1 when I was in P1 for a while too.
And that says a lot right there. Where, you know, they talk. I mean, put it this way, I don't think I don't think Diddy's in fucking in population. You know what I'm saying? Like, it says a lot that he's able. You know what I mean? He went in there and like he wasn't PC to nothing, right?
Nah,
He
but
was in population. So like for him to be able to like, you know, because listen, people would love that to have a fucking mark like that, or like it's like, oh, that's a fucking notch on their belt, you know.
Word. Before he even got up there, guys are coming around, even talking to me, it's like bringing me, because I was cool with everybody, you know, even the Bloods, Crip. I mean, when I was on the South Side anyway, and then
You're like, can you get him on a flight football team?
Well, no, this is what they were saying before he even came up, before I ever met him, anything. They're like, yo, man, this dude, because remember he was on TV, and it sounded like maybe he was giving information about co-defendant or something happened. It was like a little thing.
Yeah,
it was like, he said he didn't do it. It might have been him. Like his lawyer was just using tactics to beat the case.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
shit.
the Spanish kid's the one that he ended up rolling on.
Right.
Yeah,
100%.
But there was like those little like low level accusations or rumors, whatever.
They wanted Hernandez anyway. That's what they wanted.
That's all it is. He's famous.
Yeah.
We're gonna be in the newspaper. We're gonna be on the news. Matty, when he comes up here, you want to get him with us? Like. Nah, I'm good. I'll get his back against you. How about that? Right? I get paid like that, right? But I'm not quick to jump on anybody's bandwagon like that either. But it's just like he was a serious dude, bro. He came up there serious dude. He died a serious dude, bro. Yeah. He's not. He didn't do that because he's weak. I think he did that because he had some type of understanding that he was going to leave his family high and dry. In a selfish way. He wanted to fight his case and go free.
So they said that. Yeah, they said that he found a loophole in that because of with the suicide. With the suicide, he couldn't be found guilty. And then Shania, whatever their name was, Shania Jenkins, or whatever, she ended up. You know, his girl and the kid got the money or whatever, got all that, you know, from the Pats and shit like that. But
she was on. Speaking of Dr. Phil, she went on there. She's done a couple things, but yeah, dude. So he was.
So he was using drugs, like he was.
Yeah,
this is the thing. Everybody up there uses drugs, right?
100%. Yeah.
He's using drugs like all of us wanted to.
Yeah, because he had it like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we were all just, everybody has their own capabilities and their own resources, whatever. But like he had money, resources, and shit. And he could do whatever he wanted. So, like, he was getting high like he wanted to get high. Like, he'd buy whole pages and smoke deuce joints. Like, he would roll the paper.
I'm sure the screws were probably...
If anyone's never ever smoked deuce, dude, like, honestly, bro, if it's the right shit, if it's good shit, you take a tiny bit of that, bro, and you're fucking gonzo.
Your whole world is different. Gonzo. Immediately.
Wouldn't recommend it.
No, we don't promote smoking or murder, but no, fucking. So I saw the thing. I told you right when you got here. I was talking to you about this a little bit, and I saw the thing on the Aaron Hernandez legacy thing. You mentioned I don't know. He got into a fight with some OG. You seen him fight a couple times?
I didn't see that fight.
Okay.
With my eyes, but I was next door. But it doesn't matter. Like, I know everything that happened.
Yeah, of course
people.
Yeah.
Everybody I focus over there, and they're not going to give me a fucked up recount. You know what I mean? No. And it's not. It's common knowledge inside there right now, right? Because like N1, P1, that's where like we all were. So now you're going to know what happened. If something happens over there, everybody's talking about it, even if it's not double A. No one looked at him like he was a celebrity like that in there. Yeah. He was just another convict.
Absolutely.
And with a history like everybody else had, but like he just had money. Dudes didn't really pay him, like, dudes weren't like paying homage and shit. Like, it wasn't like, sweating his nuts. It was just like, kinds of dudes are kind of scared of him because he's a tough motherfucker. But like, he had control over himself. So I'll tell you a story about his anger, right? So like, we played basketball. We were playing 3-on-3. I was on the other team. I was manning.
Yeah, you like the ball, right?
Yeah, he played basketball all the time. He's nasty at it too. But I was manning up on him. And out of 3 games, we won the last game. I scored the point, so I grabbed the ball and I slammed it on the ground. And I was like, I just beat double A. I said, I beat Aaron Hernandez. And he was like fucking pissed, bro. I could tell he was real tight. He got all red in the face. And he walked around in a circle and walked off the rec deck. But he didn't say nothing or do nothing outrageous. Yeah. It's like, the dude wasn't like a split hair, live wire type of dude, bro. Like
but he was a competitor and he didn't like to lose.
He did not like to lose.
Yeah,
He's a competitive dude, but he had control over his anger in that way. There's a possibility that he's innocent of what he did, what they say.
Yeah.
There's a possibility. They do anything else, probably. You know what I mean? Those shootings in Florida and shit.
Yeah.
But
you got the one dude.
The dude with the eye, Dude,
yeah.
So, you were talking about, like, dude, when it's crazy how it all happened so quick. Because I was young when it, like, I remember I was, like, fucking still and I was in high school when it happened. I remember him getting arrested. And it was like, at first it was like, oh, they were bringing him in for question. And then next thing you know, he's, like, the main suspect. They're arresting him. And then, boom, the picture of him with the guns and all the Bristol shit and, people he surrounded himself with, all that shit came out. But we could segue into something else if you want, Joey.
Yeah, I mean, that's wasted talent. It's a shame.
Yeah, it is. I'm not like an expert on double A. That I was just around him. I got firsthand information. People or his family and lifelong friends know him a lot better than me.
Yep.
I just saw him at his worst, and it's an unfortunate situation. I wish his family and his girl and everybody else nothing but the best.
Yeah.
But
you see, in the shit rolls downhill. That you think of talk about a fall from grace. You know what I mean? Or like Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But if it was gonna make him kill himself, like I think that that thing, just falling and going to prison alone, I don't think that's what it was. I think it was more to, like I said, the money and shit like that.
Well, I think too.
He had just beaten that case. Remember the one before
the first
the
one
Dominicans,
went back like that next day or 2 days later.
Yeah.
But I think what it was is his lawyer mentioned to him on like another level before that case was over. Like he must have said something like, "Nah, the only way you could really not end up paying that is if you died or something." And it just said, he looked into it maybe.
Yeah. Well, I think he definitely suffered from,
definitely had
severe depression. Junior Seau, Junior Seau had CTE, and
shot himself in the chest.
Yeah, the brain's
the
brain's no joke.
Few of them did.
Head injuries, no joke. That's it's scary shit.
I think something came out recently. They said Aaron had a brain. A brain of like a 67-year-old.
Yeah, 60. Yeah,
it's wild, man. It's wild.
It is. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. But as far as his suicide goes, just to cap it off with him, I think no cops killed him. No cops could have killed him.
Yeah.
His door was pegged from the inside. He had a plan, and he had the curtain up. He wrote all over the walls with his own blood, whatever. Fucking. It was in his plan. It was just, that was what he chose to do, and that's his life, and that's his legacy. I wish that, it didn't happen, but it did.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought of when I remember first seeing it. I'm like, because he just beat the kid, and obviously we weren't thinking like the way he was, but I'm like, that had to be an inside. I thought, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean?
Believe me, it sounds cool, sounds good, but it's just not true. It couldn't happen like that. There's too many cameras. It's too open. Like the cameras would have seen him. They would have seen him. And there's too many conspiracies for all that, but
we talked about this earlier before we kicked off. About the wow, the wow factor, or like people looking for they love a good story, right? And
exactly, it's all the negativity.
No matter what, even at the Tom Brady roast, and I know, and then we'll get off Double A for now, but I love Doc Humor, I love all that shit, Nikki Glazer and stuff, but. Jeff Ross, the Jewish dude, he's he's an animal.
Donkey.
Right?
He's funny.
He's vicious, right? And I love that shit, but he made some about Aaron Hernandez, and it's where it's like funny, but almost you don't really read that too much into it because you can't fathom it, but it's almost damn, you're looking for that fucking shock value, and it's this dude was in in purgatory, and he was in living hell, and when he, and maybe it was warranted. Maybe that's what it was, his karma. I have no idea. What I'm saying is
that's why I wanted to say the allegations he was accused of and whether he's guilty or not. We don't promote murder, but one thing we do know is he came from a lot of similar backgrounds than a lot of us, and it's easy for a fucking politician or a lawyer or like whatever to laugh at that shit and joke about it. But like us, like just because, you know, he obviously had a God-given talent to it on the football field. Like I believe we all have a God-given talent. Joe says that all the time, and it's like, you know, I don't know, man. It's like you don't want to laugh at someone when they're down, man. Especially about death and, you know, just a lot of shit, man. It's fucked up because it's like, you know, and I do it too as like a defense mechanism, like laugh about shit that's like fucked up. You know what I mean? But it's like, you know, I don't know. It's just.
But when you sit and really think about it, yeah, it's like, you know, even, you know, Odin Lloyd's mother, like where it's like almost like, all right, for the sake of a joke, you know, it's like this still lost her son, you know, it's like, how's, you know,
it's a sensitivity thing, bro. But not just that, but it's only people that have never been through shit in their fucking life. I hate it when they talk shit like that. If you or I said something like that, it's like, okay, whatever. Yeah. Because we've actually been through something and we can fucking, but it's like you almost my little horse over here, bro. Never fucking seen shit talking like you know something about pain or you know something about like shut the fuck up.
And that's what I love when like there is like a doctor or lawyer that is fucking down to earth and can have a conversation like that. There's not many of them, dude. You know what I mean? There's not.
Well, I think those are the best. I think those are the most successful people, and I think that
100%.
And the same applies to us. I believe where you know, and it starts with us believing in ourselves, or you know, in then surrounding ourselves with people that are going to be like, all right, you know, like I say, I try not to. You know, I've proven to myself time and again that my mind's unreliable, right? I wake up every day untreated, right? But I learned like that I have a solution. Like I have like I can do the drill and I can, and now what I try to do, you know, is rather than like ruminate and like just like be consumed with self and like can't get out of my own head, I'll try to like, put like the tools that I've been taught or whatnot, or like the education that I've got through like pain and shit. And I surround myself with people that are like going to remind me of like, who I am, what I'm trying to do, where I'm trying to go, right? Because when I surround myself with people that are, you know, that I admire, that I attract to for all the right reasons, right? Yeah. Like there's no agenda, there's no motive, right? You know, it doesn't matter if we had two nickels to rub together, right? Yeah. It's not about anything. Like there's no transaction. It's all good shit. Yeah. It's all positive stuff, you know?
Yeah. So Matt, like you were kind of segueing into this in the beginning, and it's like, you know, it's like, I don't know, people like us, right, that have been to the fucking depths of hell, and people that are trying to change their life, and people that are trying to bring good into the world and have God in their life and trying to strive to be a better person every day. Thinking of how can I help someone instead of how can I take from someone. If you want to just talk about like how you use that mentality on a daily basis, kind of like what you're doing now with the podcast. And I know you're sober and you're doing your thing, man. I'm proud of you, bro. Yeah. Like I'm proud of you.
And you learn that from somewhere. I attribute it. I don't have to know you. I don't have to know. I know you. I don't have to know someone's like background to see like how they move and know that like they learned that from somewhere. Yeah. You know, I think of Devin's grandmother. I've never met her, but like I know that like she taught him like you know those morals, values, and principles. And
yeah, I think that when it comes down to like your character and what you're willing to do, what you're capable of, really is just comes down to how you grew up, the morals and values that were instilled you as a child, and your experiences and the things you've been through. A lot of people don't look back and see all the shit they've gone through when they're going through something else, right? They just they've been through that, and now they're facing this shitty thing. But the way I see it is like, I've been through all this, dude. This is nothing, and I could overcome anything. You know what I mean? And if I can't be stopped by that, then this ain't stopping me.
Right,
and so therefore, this doesn't mean a motherfucking thing. And like my mother said, any pain, stress, anxiety, anything like that, it's always temporary. It's gonna go away at a certain point.
This too shall pass.
Death. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. This too shall pass. Another great quote from the Bible. But it's like, and a lot of things you can learn too from the Bible, like wisdom and shit. Even if you don't believe in God, there's so much wisdom to be had inside of there by all those people that went through so much. And those times are tough. You know what I mean? Those people were smart people. Like when it comes to suffering and being aware of your own pain. But what happened with me, I think, is a lot to do with all the time I spent in solitary. I spent that whole time inside him. And so I think I got really good at talking to myself and being aware of how I feel, the things that I'm capable of, the things that I know I want.
Positive affirmations.
Yeah, there's a lot of negative affirmations.
Yeah.
But like,
Well, you were
very
forced
aware
to
of
sit
it.
with self.
Yeah, of course.
And there's no doubt in my mind.
Mm.
You know, I certainly I didn't spend as much time in solitary as you, but I know that that's something that has always stuck with me and will always like. But I know that the only reason I got through that, right, was certainly not by my own volition. There was God. He was with me, bro. There was no question that like
He's always there.
God was with me when I needed him the most, right? Because like I couldn't do it on my own, and like I know I felt it. You know what I'm saying?
I don't feel like God's a selfish thing either. I don't feel like, oh, God was with me, that's why I got through it. I feel like, yeah, God was with all of us, and that's why we got through it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because even if God's just with me, doesn't mean that you can't be an evil motherfucker to me. You got to have God too in order to have some type of compassion in understanding of what I'm going through, and that's going for COs and everybody who's got the power over me that could just do whatever the fuck they want, but choose not to because there's something better inside of them. They just don't remember it anymore because they're a CO. But that's all right. They could one day not be one anymore, and then they'll remember. But or they'll get old as a CO, and you know we all know old COs stop being shitbags at a certain point. Well, they don't. And that's not to say every CO is shitbag. Let me rephrase, because there's COs that I truly respect. I have a lot of respect for, matter of fact, but like this doesn't mean I'm gonna be able to be their friend at any point, I don't think.
Right.
Not yet anyway, but I'm working on it, bro. That's inside here. But I'm working on it, bro.
But that's like a mutual understanding. I feel like you know, I had one of my old chief friends from Winter Hill, you know, he had now we grew up predominantly like white Irish Catholic or whatnot, and or Italian, and you know, he had a friend Vito from Baltimore, right? And now I missed the why I was away for that, but I know the story. I know that how it plays out, the plot and everything.
Yeah,
and all the Baltimore guys I met, like I've said this before, and I said on your podcast, my impression of them was like they didn't see, all they saw was green, like they were like so poverty stricken, or like they were in the hood, and like they didn't have time for fucking like
if they had
racism.
a chance to make money, they were
They didn't have time to fucking be, like hate on me because I was white. You know what I'm saying? Like they were like, bro, I gotta fucking eat.
Yeah.
And Stevie had a friend Vito, and he played handball with him all the time. And we were walking the track one day, and he said, I said, well, you guys are real close. And he summed it up like he said, Joe, he goes, yeah, that's my friend. And I said, you know, and talk. I think back to these things, and little things stick out in my mind, and like I learned from like these little walks, you know, over the track. And what he said in you know, layman terms is that's my friend, but like, you know, we're not having Sunday dinner together, you know, like based on like he grew up, and it's nothing personal, it's nothing like you know, we're from two different worlds or whatever. In here though, like. We formed a bond. We built a bond. You know what I mean? And like, there's no, you don't see white, black, or anything else. You know, like he knows that dude's solid, but it's like they don't have to explain to each other. Like, you know, it's just a mutual understanding. I feel.
Absolutely.
So I think like the way that excuse me, real quick. Let me ask you a question, because I just don't want to get the next phrase wrong. So you asked me what it is that I do every day to kind of like keep on progressing and growing.
Just to make yourself better, just to
yeah.
So like pray on a daily basis.
Man.
Shit
So
like that.
Lace up, baby.
Lacing up, bro. Lacing up. Yeah, hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button.
Where's the man? Let's go.
But I it took me a long time to actually find like to be okay with like praying, and even like letting someone see me pray, like, oh my God, I fucking feel like a loser, like I'm weak, like God, don't tell anybody, like type
I think
of
that's
like,
fucking the balls. I think that's
but it's real, like it takes a lot to get on your fucking knees in the first place, but to like get on your knees and talk to something you can't see and believe in something that you've never like seen, it's difficult when you haven't felt what I felt or experienced what I've experienced, because what I experienced was that I was filled with some type of evil, bro. I was an evil person. I hated other people. I wanted to hurt you. I thought it felt good. It was like an adrenaline rush of some sort. I loved drugs. I thought there was nothing wrong with them. And who the fuck is anybody to tell me that I shouldn't be getting high? Because all I'm doing is hurting myself, right? But I'm not even hurting myself. I felt like it was a blessing. That was the blessing. God's looking out for me when I get a pack. You know what I mean? God's looking out for me when I get the meds from the psychiatrist. Oh, he must have been there because he knew I needed those Wellbutrins, bro. Like, I needed those things, right? But, like, that wasn't the blessing. That was the fucking curse.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that for a long fucking time. And excuse my language, but, like, that's the reality. Is I was a drug addicted, drug loving, happy about it, didn't care what anybody thought, motherfucker, who would fight my friends or fight my enemies, whoever you were. It didn't even really matter. But I just wanted to get what I wanted. You know, it didn't matter how it happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Ultimately, you were fighting yourself.
And it wasn't about, like, everything. It was just about getting that end result. But, like, I started to like all the shit that came along with it, and, like, how people viewed me and talked to me like I had some type of, like, respect.
Yeah, of course. It brings.
Which is a shallow place to be. So like I say, like,
it is.
You know, you're bottom feeding, like, it's for validation to. Like when
it's the worst.
Yeah, but I mean, I think
it's a shit place, you know.
It
like
is.
seeking some type of, approval. I mean, it's like, of course, like, you got to do what you got to do to survive, and it's like, of course, if I'm gonna get respect or love or attention from these people in the can or on the street, it's like, of course I'm gonna want to do that, dude, because I don't even feel that for myself, bro. I fucking hate myself, bro.
It is, like you said though, too, it's the lowest form of humanity, bro. Like, you're literally the biggest lame ever, dude. I wasn't using hard work. I wasn't using, like, intelligence, but I was using some type of intelligence, street intelligence, prison intelligence. My emotional intelligence of other people and how far I could push you before you crack type of thing.
You wouldn't be sitting here with us right now if you didn't have a certain skill set. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, meaning, like, just to get by. You know, like I say, I'm not. It's like, aside from not being a Skinner or a rat. You know what I mean? It's like we can go anywhere, but, like, I wasn't like beating everyone up, and I don't even like confrontation, but, like, I defend myself when need be, and but at the same time I think more like how to maneuver and stuff like that, and how to I don't know, it's just how to treat people. I believe that street knows wherever the environment is. I think that you treat people the way you want to be treated, and for the most part, it doesn't mean you're not going to ever run into problems, certainly not in that environment, but
just handling the problems, handling problems differently, trying to.
Absolutely. Prison is a science experiment. It's a scientific economy. Like, they built it and didn't know what the fuck was going to happen, because they build these massive structures and throw a bunch of men and tie in these little spaces. And we built our own society with our own laws, our own rules, our own way of living, our own way of life that's built around fear and violence. And there's no way out. There's no fucking way out. And everybody who's still stuck in there, it's only going to get worse from here. Because the levels go up and up every time the violence gets, every time that someone sets the bar, someone's got to set a little higher.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
there's always going to be a crash dummy or someone.
Yeah. Or just the next super gangster motherfucker that's super fearless and scary. You look at me like, fuck.
The one thing I wanted to, and I've been meaning to, I know we got busy lives and stuff like that, and, we talk. I know you were sick for a little, and even just to hear you say, like, like, we sit here and, like, with positive affirmations and, like, positive vibes and all that shit, right? And, we're able to do that, right? Together, certainly, but, like, there's, not every day is perfect. I know you were struggling for a little, and that's something, like, to come home or whatnot. And I had said it to Devin before, like, it makes me happy to see you grow and, like, to see you, basically, the whole, all right, so you told your story, right? You've got it out there, but what you said to me earlier before we started the podcast about, everyone wants to hear that story, and I said, like, it gets old, and, like, it should get old, right? Because, there's almost, like, your story is your story, but, like, there's so much more to it. I believe that, and to see you, like, even talking like that, where it's like, give it a little time, and, like, and now that aspect, like, the whole person, that's not going anywhere, right? like we can talk for days on that, but you're so much, I believe that you're so much bigger than that. Your mind's so much, you're creative and you have so much more potential than that. And to watch you, like, it's like, that gets me going, like, that gives me incentive and it amps me up where it's like, all right, let's do it, let's fucking go.
I love the fact that you wear that, openly talk about God and wear that shit on your sleeve, man. Like you said, it makes you more dangerous, dude. It really does. And
1,000%.
Anybody, dude, that doesn't matter what type of religion or whatever, I mean, but like, God, higher power, anybody that's seeking a power greater than themselves, man, like trying to, it's almost a form of humility. You know what
Absolutely,
I mean?
bro. It is a form of humility because everybody looks at you like you're a fucking sucker. You're weak because of it.
Yeah,
and I'm looking at you like I'm stronger than you because of it. But the thing is that it is cliche as fuck too. It's like, a lot of people say, like, oh, you need God, it's a crutch, you're weak. But it's like, no, I need God. I need God because I'm weak already, and he makes me strong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're humans, we're weak, we're fallible, we have needs, wants, desires, things that we have, we don't really control ourselves when it comes to it, but we need something further than ourselves, accountability, gone. Our friends, the people around us that are doing better than us, that we want to kind of like, emulate their success maybe, even if it's not their character, their personality, but it's just, their success. I want to be successful. I want everybody to be like, Matty did his fucking thing, bro. Matty's a boss.
You talked about it. You said it when we were on the, when we did our thing before, on the W number, and you had said your legacy. We talked about the word legacy, and you said, like, when all said and done, that, that's all. The kid, he put in work, like, you're gonna, as far as I'm concerned, like, you'll be remembered for what you're doing now, as opposed to like all that other shit. It's relevant. It's your story. It does matter, but at the same time, like, the chapters are yet to be written.
If I didn't do this, that wouldn't never have mattered. No one would remember that shit other than the people that were there with me. And even them, they're gonna talk about me like, nah, he was nothing. I was the one that was doing it, bro. Because everybody's the toughest dude in their own world, bro. Yeah, you can never get the respect due from the people that aren't respectable in themselves, bro. Because they just always want to take the credit, or they always want to be the coolest dude in the room. And we're around, and you're surrounded by that for 17 years. You start thinking you have to take that respect. You have to take that fucking limelight away from these dudes because they don't deserve it. Like, I deserve it. But what makes me deserve it?
I've witnessed you, like, your loyalty's real. I've seen you, like, you don't forget about the guys.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing to do, keep in touch and stuff. Like, it's out here, it's busy out here, but that's one thing you never forgot about, your people in there and stuff. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, it's honorable and admirable. It speaks volumes of your character, But at the same time, you have a life to live and you deserve it,
I appreciate that.
So I'm very glad you came on, buddy. You're my
absolutely.
man. I miss you. I'm glad we got a chance to catch up a little bit. And Deb, you got any last word before Matty signs
I
that?
just want to say thank you again.
Yeah,
it's been real conversation, getting to know you more and shit. It's awesome, man. It's you inspire me and Joe to keep this thing rolling, even on days you don't want to do it. Like whatever it is in life, man. Days you don't want to do it, you still just show up and
That's funny,
do it.
because you guys inspire me.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Because it's not the dudes that are like Ian Bick or J.E. DeLay, all this got millions of subscribers, whatever. It's the people that are just starting and they're not getting all those views, but they're still pushing because they know their message is strong and it means something.
100%, bro. Yeah.
Stand for something.
And it'll come. It all comes.
Yeah.
Consistency.
No cloud chasing here, that's for sure.
Fact.
Let's have our boy.
Let's get mad.
All right.
The W. I want to say the W up there, bro.
Yeah, the
All right, the W number, baby.
Sign that shit big if you want. Who gives a fuck?
Episode 7, Lace Up Podcast. Lace up or face down, baby. We got Matty Tottenham, W number. Check out his podcast.
Boom.
It's fire.
There it is, baby.
Let's go.
Thank you, my man.
Ah,
I love you, brother.
right there.
I appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you,
you
bro.
already know. I'm stuck in the seat. It's
Yeah,
like
right.
a fucking,
I know it's good.
it's like a black hole. Like,
Peace, guys.
Peace out.
Man, I gotta be the realest. That's why they fearless. If God with me, who shall be against me? So I'm fearless. Cried too many times, it got me tearless. The second they know you care more, that's when they start to care less. I'm here blessed. Before I made a fortune, I was fortunate. Now all these rappers acting like my kids might start an orphanage. They plate was full, mine was empty, then a portion emotion switch. So what I look like acting all remorseful shit. I pioneered the sound and went on tour with it. Don't need your flame, I'm always lit. Everybody doing pain music, I guess I'm doing torture shit. Flamethrowers in a ride, they pull up scorches. Remember we was searching for a helping hand and no one offered it. I'm offered it. Made it self-sufficient, heavy ammunition. These rappers couldn't tie my shoes, little boy, you tripping.